backed by popular demand, is Euan Provost to have a bit more two mates talking rugby with the Super Rugby season starting on Friday. How's it going, Ewan? How's summer in Canberra been?
To be honest, mate, it's been a weird summer. I'm not a local yet. I wouldn't call myself that, but apparently it's been a very humid and green summer. So it's been very enjoyable for me because much like Coffs Harbour, but yeah, the locals are a little bit upset about the situation. But nonetheless, it's a bustling place from time to time.
Yeah, I have to imagine the rugby fraternity in Canberra, as all across Australia, has been had a really tough few months with the World Cup and a few other things with the Rebels and stuff. But Super Rugby starts tomorrow. Ken, are you keen? And do you think Australia's franchises have a fighting chance this season? Let's start with the big one.
I think it's going to be interesting. There's been a few interesting developments on the front. A lot of few clubs in financial strife, but hopefully the players are keen to turn up and prove themselves. I think that's what we've got to look forward to. And the Kiwis are strong last year, and they're just probably going from strength to stronger. So it's going to be tough, but the two Pacific teams look quite like they're improving as well. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, well, we spoke about golden decade, but this is really the big 4 years. We had the Lions in 25 and the home World Cup in 27. So this is the start of the 4 year cycle. And if there's any better chance for new players, up and coming players, players that we thought were on the scrap heap, this is the start of an absolute dream 4 year run. And Australian rugby, especially after the Wallabies, Eddie Jones, we don't want to talk about that, Jesus. But this is we're at the bottom. The only way is up. I think let's hope we can take it. The fans, the players, the administration, both hands, run the ball and let's get some traction. Let's get rugby back on the good side of things.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to. Everybody needs to get up and support it, and hopefully the punters can get behind it, and we can get a bit of a, you know, steamroll sort of thing happening before the next World Cup.
Yeah. It's just so much exciting. I know you and I have already been talking about British and Iron Lions. How do we work it out with the missus, with the family, with work? It's not that far away. You start thinking about leave and how many games you do, how many nights. I think at the moment Brisbane might be the our location to pick, but we'll see what happens. I would love to get down to Canberra and go to the Brumbies and Lions with you too.
Yeah, it's an easy win for me that one. But
Yeah,
yeah, it'd be good to see as many games as possible.
yeah. Well, if you listen to this, the best way to get involved with the podcast and the Super Rugby side of things is jump in a tipping competition, proudly sponsored by Algoducty Auto Care. Check the Facebook page. There's a private comp. You need the code to join. We've got 25 players already, 150 over the prize pool. It's going to be so much fun. We're all chasing Zach Tane from last year. I know one that jumped in last year's back in. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm pretty sure top three or four last year were about 2 or 3 points in it. So get in as soon as possible and let's rumble for about 15, 16 weeks.
Yeah, sounds good, mate. I'm gonna have a real crack this time. Last tipping comp with the Super Rugby, I think I backed the Crusaders, then the Brumbies, no matter who they were going against, and that tactic didn't work out. So have a critical look at each game this season, I reckon, and have a real go.
Yeah, well, I think, your point about the Crusaders is probably one of the perfect points to start with. A lot of All Blacks have had it overseas for sabbaticals. They've gone to Japan. They've gone to France. The New Zealand teams don't have some of those superstars that we're so used to. So, do you think we'll see those New Zealand teams come back to the pack a bit this year?
I think it'll be interesting. I mean, the depth of talent in New Zealand, you could pretty much lose your first 15 and still have a pretty good side. So uh, it's probably good for them to have some up and comers coming through and see what the talent's all about.
Yeah, we've seen the results from the All Blacks when they play second and third, string teams, against some of the, nations probably outside the top five in the world, and they're still, winning 20, 30 points comfortably just to show the depth there. But, we saw some of the trial results. The Crusaders didn't have a great time over in Europe. A couple of Japanese teams, brought up some pretty surprising scorelines against the New Zealand team. So there could be signs early on that they maybe not be that absolute world beaters they have been previously.
Yeah, I think the preseason trials. I mean, they're great games. You know, they're focusing on attacking, and I don't know if they're playing it tactically as much. So it is definitely interesting, but I don't know how much of a reflection those would be on the Super Rugby season. But we'll
Yeah,
see, I guess, won't we?
it all starts 5:05 p.m. Friday 23rd, with an all New Zealand battle. And you spoke of specific teams, and I suppose my biggest question is the PG and Drua. They finished seventh last year with 26 competition points. Do you think they'll make a big step up this year, or will they be about where they were, or back in the bottom four?
It's so hard to tell. They have such exciting play, and they do have good ball runners, and they're playing the game. Um, from the pre-trial match I saw in Canberra, they sort of just ran out of gas. So it was really a fitness issue more than anything. But they definitely have the talent. Um, probably you can imagine they get better and better each year. Start beating some of the Australian teams if we keep staying on the same level we're at. Soon enough, they'll be up there rumbling with the best.
Yeah, I think winning is a culture and a belief, and they beat the Crusaders in Fiji last year, and I think this could really be a breakout year, and I would not be surprised to see them get into the top four and pick up a home quarter final. Which
Yeah,
imagine going to Fiji to play a quarter final. You're playing 16, 17 men. We were seeing the crowds at Latoka, Suva. It's just they're 15,000 people and they're hanging from they're literally they're sitting in trees. It's just incredible.
yeah. No, the as I said, the when watched the pre-trial match here, the Brumbies, Fiji, and I think more than half the crowd was the Fijians in Canberra. So like they're very got a good support base, and it's probably only really up for those guys.
Yeah, I really hope so. And, it's probably been the shining light of Super Rugby Pacific so far, the Enduro and Moana Pacifica. I think they'll be on the approved. They're taking a game to Tonga this year after playing in Samoa last year. There is signs there that could be starting to see early fruits of the labour.
Yeah, just gotta stick at it and hope for the best, I guess.
Yeah. And hopefully the Crusaders and the Blues and stuff don't take their best New Zealand eligible players. I know they've taken a couple of their best players this year, which is a bit of a shame to see.
Yeah.
Well,
How?
you go.
I just messed the take up, mate. You're gonna have to admit it now. I was just gonna say, should we go from the top, mate?
Yeah, well, I was just looking at the ladder from last year. So the Brumbies were the best Australian team coming fourth. Do you think that's achievable this year? How do you see the Brumbies, your
Uh,
local team?
for a brief, look at it seems like pretty well the same squad. You know, they've got a few new local people in that were in the trials, but they've lost Nick White, which is probably a fair hit, but. For what I saw, the new nine plays a very similar. Like he would have been under his wing. Plays a very similar game, very similar style. So I don't think they're going to be that different from last year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I I think you look at their squad and they got Slipper, Alatoa, they got Blake Short who played Wallabies last year. They got Frost. They're just their forward pack is on par with the best forward pack in all Super Rugby. Now their back line. worries me a bit. They've lost a bit of a talent there. It was the centre outside Ikitau last year that was his name escapes me, but he was just incredible last year.
I think they're big. Their name escapes me also. I know their wingers
Yeah,
were were the talking points most games, but yeah, their backs are solid, man. Like against the Fiji, they left their first run backs off and sort of brought them on in the second half, and they just lit up the field. So um, there's some serious talent in that team.
yeah, we're still talking Leo Soso, Longigan, Muirhead, Corey, Hotline, Tool, Tom Wright. There's some very bona fide wallabies there. I've listened to a few other podcasts and stuff, and I just think they probably lack absolute game breaker apart from maybe Corey Hotline Tool. That may be where they
Mm,
might struggle. So I think it's really up to their forward pack to lay the platform there.
yeah, and they were looking very strong. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, I think they'll do all right, mate.
Yeah, well, let's go to the Waratahs. And oh, geez, have you seen the trial results? It's not been great. And with the news has come out that they're going to decide on Coleman's job within the first 4 rounds. And have you seen that draw? It's going to be a tough 4 weeks for Coleman and his men. With
Mm,
like this Reds away first up, Crusaders for Super Round in Melbourne, home against the Highlanders, and then home against the Blues. So it couldn't get a much tougher 4 weeks to start the competition.
yeah, no, it's a hard one. I think a few hours ago they just said they lost their key centre. I wasn't quite sure what his name was. Neck
Fiketti,
injury.
yeah. Oh, shivers. I
Yeah,
know he went to hospital, but
yeah. I think he. I'm not sure what the update on that is, but yeah, it's. I don't think he's playing this weekend. But from my notes, the squad for this round they've got 5 new players. So I'm assuming their group playing experience might also make things a bit hard. And but they're the only team that switched to being owned by Australian Rugby from that whole debacle with that.
yeah, so far, yeah. Well, we saw Angus Ding Dong Bell go down the first, half last season and not get back to the Wallabies World Cup, and that was a massive out for them. And I'm really excited. Fergus Lee Warner spent some time with the Force. He's a really good player. He's been named at 6. I think that's a massive pickup by the Waratahs, who struggled for a bit of a they didn't have those game line benders last year. Like they had a solid forward pack, but they just didn't have anyone that really tested the defence. And I think Fergus Lee, Warner, and Miles. I'm going to absolutely butcher this last name, but Adamosi, he's been playing in France. He's what is he 2 meters tall? There's people to be excited there, and we've no one with Hawasi, Jorgensen, Parisi, Ficketti's injured at the moment. Tame Edmund, big season Tame Edmund. That Wallabies number 10 jersey, there's no one to lock there, and Tame Edmund could come out of the absolute flyer out of the blocks, and he could be a real smoky there for the Wallabies' first matches against Wales in June.
Yes, yeah. You got to have high expectations for your Tars, mate. And now they're your
Yeah,
they're your team, aren't they? So
yeah, well, they're the biggest market, I think, when like when the Waratahs go well, like Rugby Australia goes well. So I think it's very important that come 6 last year, 3 quarterfinals, in a row. Darren Coleman's, playing for that contract. This could really be. Yeah, I really don't know. Like you could easily see him coming ninth or 10th, or they could sneak into third or fourth. I think those first 4 weeks, they win 2 out of those 4. They're on the right track. They win any less, they're in big trouble. They win 3 out of 4, and all it well could be the year of the Tars.
yeah, right. Do you reckon they've got more to prove than the other Australian clubs, sort of in financial strife and.
Well, yeah, well, we come to the Queensland Reds with the new coach Les Kiss, and I'm not sure how
Yep.
many people listening would have heard from Les Kiss, but absolute incredible rugby brain. Surprisingly, actually, a state of origin, Queensland players. So yeah, like he's got some league background there, but just to hear him talk about union and rugby and what it means to him, his experiences, I've been highly impressed, um, yeah, by the stuff we've heard from him so far.
I feel like some of those things are pretty universal. I mean, like Checker was he coaching the Lebanon league team while he was coaching the Pumas as well, and it's
Yeah.
you know sometimes it's not about the knowledge of the game. It's about driving that successful culture, which you know so much about now, Benny.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. After Hamish Riark, if you're listening to this, incredible interview with Crusaders chief executive from 2001 to 2018. Just, yeah, the stuff he said, it's been nearly a month now. And I just still shake, mate. I can't believe I got to sat down with him for an hour and just hear that. So if you get a chance to listen to that, I please, I say please put that in your diary and bookmark that one. But yeah, but the Reds, I really feel like they're the sleeping giant, and I know that's a bit of a cliche when they're koalas, but yeah, I feel like they could well be the sleeping giant of the Australian rugby. And don't forget that we've got our local boy Connor Vest from the Grafton Redmond playing there in the lock slash back row stocks.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, my notes for the Reds were pretty much looks like a solid squad. So um,
Yeah,
they could shake some things up. They got a new fly half. Um, didn't look into any of this, but yeah, so new 10, so new. It's a young fella because what was it like Connor, isn't it? He's
yeah, Connor's out for a couple of
injury
weeks.
cloud.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we've got Tom Liner, son of the famous Wallaby Liner in there. We got Lawson Crichton who played a bit of 5'8" from last year. James O'Connor listed as a 5'8", probably more of a 5'8" centre, combination. And Lachlan Phillips, who's did really well in that trial match against the Waratahs. But yeah, so there has been some questions, and I've heard let's talk about this. How does he fit four fly halves into one starting spot? And I think that'll be very interesting to see and who steps up there. We got Tate McDermott, the Wallabies incumbent with Nick White. We're looking really to press his claims to step up to being that, undisputed Wallaby starting number nine. So quick around the breakdown, but still got question marks over his passing game.
yeah. I rate Tate very highly. So it'd be interesting to see if he's still got a vendetta, still got something to
Yeah.
prove. If he's going to bring that.
Yeah, looking at their exactly, and I think this is probably a make or break year because with the Lions in 25, you really want to be come that spring tour this year, be cemented as the number one, number nine in Australia for the Wallabies, and I really think it's a big year for probably one of the most unheralded players in Super Rugby, Jock Campbell. I know there's been a lot of noise, especially north of the border, for him to play Wallabies a lot more, a lot more often than he has, and yeah, I think this could be a really year we see that the Jock Campbell step up and be a premier outside back in this competition.
Yeah, you see a lot of questions raised around selection and stuff. But I mean, if people do step up and make no question about it, it makes it a lot easier for the selectors. And hopefully, we do have a great year.
Yeah, and you go down half those numbers to number eight, and it's a massive year for Harry Wilson. Left out of that World Cup touring squad, and Gunnedah boys. So New South Wales lad who's been in Queensland for a long time, but yeah, I really think that this really needs to be the time that he steps up to and just shows that what, I can take a game by a scruff of the neck at this level, and I can change the game on the back of my shoulders. And nearly in that artist of the year kind of role, like you know, just jump on my back and I'll take you there.
Yep. Yeah, real leading from the front.
Yeah, well, if the Wallabies are going to progress, I believe that's what we need.
Yep. Roger that,
Well,
mate.
Roger that. Yeah, well, we need it. Like Jesus, we can't happen what happened last year. That was. I still shake my head. I know the Stan documentary's coming out today, and I'm looking forward to watching that too, with a cold one and just seeing how much the editing floor let us see. Well, let's
Oh,
go down to
jeez,
the
yeah.
Western. Yeah, we might have to do a bit of a watch party for that one.
It's
Well,
on my list, mate.
well, let's go to the Western Force. Uh, this is a team that basically couldn't lose at home last year and could not win away from home. And I, listened to their coach Simon Cron speak, and just again, there's some quality rugby. You see that no Australian coaches are really considered for the Wallabies job. Joe
Mm.
Smith getting it. There seems to be some very quality Australian coaches at the super level. So maybe not next year or two, but going forward, there's some exciting times I think with the coaches, and they've changed their training regime around a bit to really focus on how they're struggling away from home. We're interested to see if that can change, because if they pick up 2 or 3 wins on the away last year, they're probably top five, top six. So uh, and I don't know if you've seen some of the names and some of the recruiting they've done. They've got a very strong side.
Yeah, I think five new starters I've got. All a lot of experience from overseas. I
Yeah.
think this week's gonna be tough for them. No skipper and Rodder's back and then out again. So, um, but yeah, the new
Oh,
starters seem like a good catch.
have you got some mail on Rodder, do you?
Oh, apparently he's out for this week.
Oh no, I only heard it was in 2 days ago, and I thought they was, a good chance to be a game changer for them. Given those real bending of the line players and really stepping up a notch there.
Yeah,
Uh,
top news story. Rodder's forced comeback on ice after training mishap. Oh, you hurt his
oh
foot or something.
yeah, I know he's having massive dramas, but they've got Wallabies duo Nick White and Ben Donaldson. Uh,
Yeah,
Obviously, massive. A lot of eyes have been on Ben Donaldson after the World Cup. And I think the move to the Force could be the perfect thing for him. They've picked up former All Blacks prop OT Molly. It's a pretty exciting pickup to get an All Blacks player over there to Perth.
I think it'll be interesting to see them all intermingle this year, and hopefully, if the playing group stays together, they're going to be um a good side in
Yeah,
the times to come. I'm not too sure about this year, but it could be interesting.
yeah. Well, Harry Potter in some of those trial matches just absolutely lit it up,
Oh,
and I don't know how we let that bloke go to Leicester Tigers and spend some time over there, but geez, he's been very, very good, and it feels like the Force to me. This has to be a make or break season. They need to play finals footballs, and they need to get that sea of blue over there. Something really to cheer on.
yeah.
And last but not least, the Rebels. And Jesus, I'm not sure. I just want to check. Are you on $22 million worth of debt, Ewan? Because I know I'm not in $22 million. I'm close, but I'm not in $22 million of debt. How is that even possible?
Mate, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. Maybe a stockpile of jet skis and all sorts if I was on that level of debt.
They own like two. They own like two cars and a bus or something. It's just, and they have Australia's biggest asset, marketable asset in Telio Tupou. So how on earth did Rugby Australia let the person they could probably build the Wallabies brand and a team on around for the next 6 7 years walk into a team with that much debt? Like, I shake my head.
I guess so. Well, just got to up the price on hot dogs by $1 and sell 20 million. Solves that problem.
Yeah, that to get some people to the games first.
Yeah.
I'd be amiss not to say we have two mid-north coast players there in both Kempsey Cannibals too. So Darby Lancaster in the back three, who absolutely starred at the Perth Sevens, and Zach Off in also in the loose forwards on the back row. So yeah, really good to see mid-north coast cowards inside Super Rugby squads. But you read through the Rebels squad, and this is a pretty stacked side with a lot of quality across the park. Like, when you got Tony Fomasali, Talia Tupou, Jordan Ulesi, yeah, LSL or Solakar Loto, yeah, Josh Kennedy, Brad Wilkin, Rob Leota, who's just been named captain, Carter Gordon. Yeah, it felt, yeah, the back three, probably Kellaway's the biggest name, but there's some they can make a very good 15. The depth there is probably a little bit worrisome, but yeah, you and I have only ever played football for fun and the beers after, and we never had it for any more than that. But how do you think these players are going, knowing that their coaches and stuff have only got 4 month contracts, and God knows what happens after that?
Yeah, I think based on similar situations in the past, that does stress does bleed through to the players. And hopefully they go out there and try and do it for pride and not try and let those things stress them and reflect on that. But yeah, I think the whole situation in the club can have a real negative impact on players. And you can have the best team in the world, but if it's not a great environment to work in, then it gets a bit hard.
Yeah, I think they could be a very dangerous wild card team, especially in these first 5, 6 rounds when they're running on higher emotion and stuff, and they could really cause a lot of angst. I struggle to see how towards the back end of the season that emotion that they could be running on well on empty, and they might limp into the back end of this season. But I I, I really pity this. I really worry for the teams that play them in the first few rounds.
Yeah, yeah, they'll definitely have something to prove. And I mean, they've got to get people to the game, so they've got to play an exciting game and get some wins behind them. The Australian support comes from a winning team. Look at all the international stuff. If you're not doing well, like the Wallabies aren't doing great, so they don't get people to the games, and then you sort of got this vicious cycle of not having the support and not being able to breed the support. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's a tricky spot for them. And my heart goes out to
yeah.
them.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's just maybe watch this space and let's see what the Rebels, the players, the supporters, and what they can put on the park. Well, that's a bit of a review, a bit of a think about where the Australian sides sit. Do you want to quickly go through round one?
Yeah, mate. Let's do it.
Oh well, let's go for 5:05 local Sydney Canberra time. Chiefs Crusaders at Hamilton. This is a bit of a grand final rematch. A bit of a way to start the
Grand final
season, isn't it?
rematch. Yeah, chance
Yeah,
at revenge.
that's for
Um,
sure.
as um, as I was doing a bit of research, mate, I was just going through and I actually got really excited for a couple of the games, but definitely first game off the rank, it's going to be has to be a blinder. Um,
Oh yeah,
new, new coach for Crusaders. Obviously, Razor's gone to bigger and better
yeah,
things. Um, we've got a former chief at 10 for the Crusaders as well, so it'll be a bit of heat probably put on the fly half. Mm, and a lot of experience in the Chiefs team. There's a 50 cap. And Mackenzie's in the team and he's probably ready to do some damage, I hope.
yeah. Well, Halfpenny went all the way back to Britain and got injured, unfortunately. So it's really bad for him after this should have been his Super Rugby debut too. Well, I think the Chiefs will repeat the opening of last year and win this one. I think they're too strong.
Yeah. That's probably the hardest pick this whole round is that first one. Yeah, I sort of got to go for the Crusaders. I think they'll just just edge them. I know the
Oh,
Crusaders do tend to build throughout the season, but they've had they, they went the hard route with the preseason. Like they went played some fresh teams and
yeah.
didn't do anything
Well,
internally either. So anything could happen.
yeah, yeah. Well, don't forget that's former Waratahs coach Rob Penny there, so who spent a lot of time 2006 2011 coaching the Canterbury and sorry NPC team. So he's definitely been involved in those programs and that Crusaders DNA. Oh, game two. Rebels versus the Brumbies at Amy Park, 7:35 p.m. Friday night. This I'm really looking forward to this one. I really this could go anywhere. Do you think the Brumbies have got this in the bag, or do you think the Rebels are just going to be running that high on emotion that the Brumbies are going to ambush here?
Uh, I'm going to say, Brumbies, maybe cooler heads prevail. Like they've got a squad that's been together for a long time and they work well together. And I assume they'll just grind out a win in this one. I think Rebels will throw a fair bit at them, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's probably the best of the Australian teams to meet up, so it'd be good to see.
Yeah, yeah, I'm probably with you there. I think it'll be super important for the Brumbies to really hold on for the first 20 minutes. With the Rebels, they'll throw a lot of punches, and if they can, hold on those first 20 minutes, I think they've cooler heads. The experience, with Longingham's, he spent a lot of time starting last year, and I think they'll win that. With the key moments that matter in the second half.
Yep.
Western Forces' home record goes up first week against Hurricanes, who were actually the fourth best New Zealand team last year, but they finished fifth. This is a tough ask for the Force and the Sea of Blue. Do they continue on their 23 winning home, or do the Hurricanes knock them off here?
Um, yeah, it's a very hard ask for the Force. No skipper. A few of the key players are out and a few new starters, but Hurricanes are looking pretty hot to trot. TJ Paranara's on the bench, so he'll
Jeez.
come as a late impact player. Billy Proctor's on his 50th game, so a bit of experience floating around. It'll be a bit hard. So I mean they've
Yeah,
got their record at home in the Force, so we can see if that hoodoo holds.
yeah, I think your late mail there with Rodder succumbing to that foot injury again. I just cannot see uh, the Force holding out the Hurricanes here, unfortunately. And yeah, I think it'd be a great game there. A bit of a late kickoff, over here on on the East Coast. But yeah, if you can be up at 9 o'clock at night watching, 9 o'clock at night watching that one. You do it. 10 o'clock at night. Apologies, you're doing very well.
Mm.
Well, that Fijian and Drillers, they end up at the Blues, and that's a big test. Do the Fijian Driller have a good chance here against the Blues, or the Blues just going to put a bit of a statement win here?
I think the Fijians tend not to travel that well. Um, Much different climate. Probably not actually that different in Auckland, but yeah, it's definitely. I'd say they'd be the underdogs in this. Blues have got 250 caps as well, two new players. They were undefeated in the preseason trials, so they've got a roll going. Um, yeah, it's going to be an exciting game though. I think either way. Um, the Drua have a habit of putting a lot of points on in certain bits of play, but I don't see them knocking off the Blues. I don't think.
No, I think the drill will entertain us, and they'll I think a bit like that trial match they went to in Canberra. I think they'll give them a good run for their money, but I think, like I said, the Blues will overcome some heavy legs in the second half there. Well, in the second penultimate game, bit of a tight one here, and we got the Highlanders who come ninth last year, taking on the Moana Pacifica. Now, do Pacifica have a good chance to start their season off with a win here down in Dunedin, or will the Highlanders continue the domination of the Moana Pacifica of the New Zealand teams from last year?
Feel like it's a bit of a similar situation to the previous game, right? So the Highlanders undefeated in the preseason games as well. They got a few new good players, but the Highlanders have never really been super strong. If there's a chance for an upset, it's probably with this one. But Moana's got four new players and also travelling, so it'll be pretty hard down in that that stadium to
The
stay
zoo.
stay strong and push hard. But yeah, once again, hopefully it'll be another entertaining match.
Yeah, I think Moana will surprise a few people here and cause some Highlanders some trouble and maybe make a few bookies, which I think Highlanders might be quite short price favourites here. I'm a bit nervous, but with the Highlanders getting up, in late in that second half. Well, last game, it's 8:05 p.m. game. This one's on Gem for the free to air people. Apologies. Very excited. It's the state versus state rivalry. It's the Queensland Reds, New South Wales Waratahs. What a way to finish round one. Um, do you give the Waratahs any hope after getting absolutely smashed in Roma 2 weeks ago by the same opposition?
Mate, it's part of the reason I moved to the ACT, mate, so I didn't have to keep supporting the Tars. Um, no, I don't think I have much hope for the Tars. I'm sorry to say. As I said before, the Reds have got a really nice looking squad, and I think that probably seal the deal with that. But yeah, this is the kind of games you like to see, like that crosstown rivalry, bit of derby action. Um, so yeah, it's definitely. I think it's good for Australian fans. You got the two, two home matches. You know, the Rebels versus the Brumbies and the Reds versus the Tars. It'll make it easy for people to work out who the better players are in the first couple of rounds.
Yeah, well, the best news is we'll guarantee at least two Australian winners at round one. So it's not every time we say that last year, was it?
Nah, nah. What do you reckon about this one, mate? Are you looking forward to this one?
Yeah, look, we spoke a bit about in the preview. We've Angus Bell back. We've got Miles Anamosi, the big 2 meter tall man. I'm really, really keen on Fergus Lee Warner playing 6 year. Lingy Gleeson played well. Joey Walton gets a bit of a surprise start at 15 here for the Waratahs over Max Jorgensen. So yeah, you said Ficketti's out with the injury, which is a bit of a shame, and the depth of the Waratahs backs is a little bit quiet. We might even see Tristan Wheeler, another mid North Coast player, come into the 23 here. But look, the Waratahs scrum is just Angus Bell, Harry Johnson Holmes. They're some bloody good players, and the red scrum is not that well known. And they gave them some trouble at Roma. So if they can give us some trouble up front, this one might be a bit closer than the pundits have been suggesting, with the Reds taking quite an easy win here. I think this will be a great game, and I think it's really one on that set piece battle. And I really hope that both teams put their best foot forward. And I'll put my blue Waratahs goggles on, and I really hope the Waratahs get a big scalp here and really get people excited for the season. Can they do
Yeah, I
it? I
see.
would say I think the Reds will win, but you play 10 times. I reckon the Reds win at seven. The Waratahs win at three. I'm cut the cold ones, and I'll be frothing this game at 8:05 Saturday night.
Well, I guess you're hoping for rain then if you want the plenty of scrum action. Um,
Uh, it's always humid up there, mate. Yeah, bloody hot in Brisbane.
yeah, a bit slick, might be bit greasy, hopefully. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
got, I got something to touch on really quickly before we say goodbye, mate.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so the few preseason games I watched, I noticed there was a lot more chip and chase out of 22 and exciting attacking play, and I put that down to it's a trial match. People aren't really um, they want to try things out and test things. I wasn't sure. There's a kick change, kick rule change, which I'm not sure was on the preseason trials, which now I'm assuming was. But so it's now what I always thought it was. The kicker has to run it on, or a player behind the kicker has to run it on, and that 5 meter or a pass rule's gone
Yeah,
this
yeah.
season.
I think it's really like this is the DuPont law. I think it's really exciting to see. We saw some of the Northern Hemisphere rugby where the forward packs basically stood there like two cricket teams lining up to shake hands or whatever, and the backs just kicked it. And now it just goes back to the touch football Oz tag rule where you're not on side to the bloke with the ball runs you on side. And I think that's going to create a bit of space and some fatigue in this, and some of these more crafty players will look into exploit that space behind the first and second lines of defence. And could that open up more options? I think drama Rovers, it's the Mackenzies and the New Zealand players that probably can craft that skill a lot better. But let's see who in the Australian inside backs can really open up that space.
Yeah, no, it's definitely if that rule was in place during those preseason games, it's definitely improve the rugby watching experience.
Yeah, well, that's what we want. Like we want eyeballs on the TVs. We want to bring our mates who maybe dabble in union or play on the weekend or whatever. We want to have them watching rugby outside to watch rugby, and we want to be able to go to these people. Well, actually, no, we didn't just watch 17,000 scrums and 30 minutes of ball and play. We actually saw a bloody good contest here, and come around and watch this, or let's go down and do this, or I want to be sending highlight clips, mini matches to people and going, this is bloody good shit.
Yeah, no, that's what
Yeah,
we want to see. Get some more people behind it. If you got a mate who doesn't know about it, educate them.
yeah, exactly. And now we probably left the biggest question to last, and we'll probably finish on that. Who wins the comp?
Oof.
Oh, it's a tough one, isn't it?
This early out, mate. You want predictions this early?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I threw up the Crusaders. I think Laney threw up the Crusaders last year. I threw up the Brumbies. So yeah, so one of us is right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we
Second,
get like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people to